Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my. Luca Nation, we're kicking you off today. All right, Andrew and I just had a Zoom call, talk about some other stuff, and he liked my energy, which was, a very Andrew thing to say. And he said, "Let's just do the episode now." And so we came out to do the episode now, and I said, "Andrew, so what's your play?" And he's like, "I don't really have a play per se. I want to talk about this buy I have and the whole deal." I'm like, "All right, well, let's just go." So I'm kicking it off, and I'm saying, "Hey, let's rock and roll. Go ahead and tell Luca Nation about what you think about buying."
But what if they snag my play, Cage? I haven't
buy it now.
I haven't finalized it.
Finalize it.
I haven't finalized it yet.
Well, let somebody snag it then. That's how you provide value.
I fully believe that iconic sports tickets are going to boom next. Because here's why. And the one I'm looking at, I brought it up before. It's the Kobe final game ticket. But here's the thing. Like, we look at rookie moments, and then we look at final game moments. And they're kind of the same thing, right? First season, last season. And Kobe went for 81 points. Kobe went for 62 3/4 versus the Mavs, which actually people say that that's his best game. He won 5 championships. But really, if there's one iconic moment, it's that final game. That final game, to me, is such a metaphor of Kobe and his career. And I just think that final game ticket, I don't think that there's as many of them out there as you would think, right? Because think about it, guys, people left that game. A good amount of people obviously saved that ticket because they know it was Kobe's last game, but people threw that ticket out. People didn't predict the future and know that Kobe would no longer be with us. And I do believe that ticket, whether that's autographed or not, is going to become an incredibly iconic moment in history. And I actually think in a lot of ways, when you look at when his documentary comes out, sure, his cards are going to go through the roof, and they have in a lot of ways. And by the way, actually, thank you, Cage. Thank you for leading me to order. Yeah. I get labeled as the Tyler Hero guy, but how am I not labeled as the Kobe guy? I must have brought the Kobe Topps paper card as a play for like 5 weeks straight. That card has gone up 4x in a PSA 9, Cage. I don't know if you realize that.
No, that's pretty crazy, and you have given that much of times. But there are a lot of Kobe guys, and you literally are the only Tyler Hero guy, so that's why you're the Tyler Hero guy. And I'll own that I'm the Devontae Graham guy. And right now his cards are not doing so good because he's out there pulling his own groin. So it is what it is. But better him pull it than me. But hey, look, this is what we're living in. So listen, we put a video out there this morning, and if you have not seen it yet, please take a look at it, share it, the whole deal. It is the hot topic in the hobby, and I gotta make sure that we talk about it a little bit, right? And half of us, we don't really want to give too much credence to Vegas Dave himself. Obviously, too late. We did a little parody video, and it was pretty funny. But without getting into who it is behind it, if it's all right with you, I'd like to spend 5 minutes. We can kind of talk about it. What's the point being made and whether or not it's a valid point. It doesn't really matter who's making it, right? It's always good to have a counterpoint, right?
Cage is asking that question rhetorically because he knows how much I don't want to give him any airtime. Not you, the Vegas Dave. I don't want to give any airtime. But since you've reached the topic, go off on your soapbox and share with Luca Nation your 2 cents, 5 cents.
Well, listen, we're in, we have a lot of Luca Nation groups. We're in groups ourselves, right? And you got to give credit to other people out there having these conversations. People who have big cards, big collections. And what I will tell you as a collector is you shouldn't have tunnel vision. Right. And for the last 2 years, we've seen the market go up. And you know what? The market may continue to go back up. And we may be in the greatest boom period for cards, that we've ever seen. And maybe it lasts for many, many, many years to come. But somebody comes in with an alternate theory, right? An alternate mindset. It would be nicer if you actually had some support to it, some rational basis. But I will. And I'm not saying this is the way it's going to be, but, the market, especially for the high-end cards that are really lifting the entire thing, it's something that I would argue is easy to manipulate. And if a couple of buyers of high-end cards wanted to manipulate that market and create new floors for pricing of some of these high-end things, especially knowing that it would trickle down to other cards, they could pretty easily manipulate it by selling the cards to themselves. keeping it in house. I mean, you're not losing a ton of money there. You're losing, VIGs and percentages and, hammer costs and whatnot. But just like you can create a market manipulation, a fake price on certain cards, on eBay or whatever it would be, I think there is something to be said about the possibility that it could happen on the higher end market. And that trickles its way down to the lower grades, the lower cards. Somebody sees a Kobe Bryant refractor sell for, what did it sell for? A couple $100,000, and all of a sudden the regular card, which is out there and plentiful, is now going from the 5 or 8 or 10 that it was, or 12 or 20, and now it's 40, 45, and it's justified because people can point to, well, look what the refractor sold for, without really the transparency that you'd like to have in that type of a market is just simply not there. So I'm not saying that this is happening, guys. But I, while we make fun and while we have a parody out there, it is important to, remember this is real money. You're putting real money into this stuff. This is a real market, and it's not the most transparent market out there. Some would say it's the same as any market, same as any stock market. You don't know what kind of insider dealing is going on all the time. I mean, they try to publicize them if they can. And, we'd love to all, hope that everything is above board. But, it's interesting to just listen to somebody who comes in and has a counterpoint and to factor that into your equation. Like I said, it would have been nicer to have some actual evidence supporting the position. Also the histrionics and the lighting things on fire thing, it's attention grabbing, but it comes off as a little diaper babyish, to be honest. But it is what it is.
I'm curious. So, like, when people are trading stocks and penny stocks specifically, there's this thing called pump and dumps, right?
Yep.
What, from a sports card hobby perspective, let's say I have a big account and I'm posting on my social media page, buy this, look at this, think about X. Or I'm doing that behind the scenes. Are those equally bad? How do you kind of reconcile between those two, Cage?
Well, I mean, it depends on what the product is, and it depends on what's going on and whether or not you're drawing people into it, for real reasons or nefarious ones. I guess the best way to talk about it is, the SEC for regular markets, if you own something, you're supposed to say it. You know what I mean? If you have a stake in something, you're supposed to be able to make that known, right? So I could see a world where somebody owns, 50 Kobe Bryant Topps Chrome base PSA 10s, and there are just not that many of them for sale on eBay or auctions. And, let's say they're worth $10,000. But if two people got together and said, you know what, the next couple of these that come up for sale, we're going to sell them to each other. I'm going to sell it to you. You're going to buy it for 20. Then you're going to buy one for 25. Then you're going to buy one for 30. All of a sudden, now there's no, is there money changing hands? We're talking about fees that are changing hands, right? The cards are going to be there. Who knows if it's actually paid for? And even if it is, you just give that money right back anyway, because it's an organized effort. Now all of a sudden, people think that card's not worth 10, and other people who are not privy to that, that dealing, the under the table dealing, they've created an inflated market. Again, I don't know if this is what's happening. I can't tell you that this is happening. I can tell you though that the returns we're seeing are amazing returns. They are, and they're difficult to see those type of returns sustaining and replicating over the next couple of months, next couple of years. If you had a card that was worth $10,000 is now worth 50, for you to see the same 5x, that card now has to go to $250,000. So from 10 to 50, okay. From 10 to 250, that's a 25x return on your money. That's a difficult, that's a heavy lift. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. And I also want to be as transparent as I can be with Luca Nation. I am a guy who has been
This is a bubble
thing. This is a bubble thing. I've been a guy who's been saying, hey, you know what? Prices are crazy. You should sell now. I sold Luca's PSA 10s from $65 to $100. I sold LeBron Chrome rookies for $2,500. I sold Mike Trout, PSA 10 updates for $1,000. Sold Jeters. I sold Klay Thompsons for $85. I mean, the list goes on and on, because I just said, oh, wow, I can't believe, this thing's gone 5X. This thing's gone 8X. It's gone 10X, 4X, whatever it is. I'm taking my money and I'm going. It just can't keep going. And it has kept going.
You're chasing alpha, as Darren would say.
Well, I mean, so the point being, that I have been wrong. So take that water. And I'm also not saying that this stuff is crashing. I'm not taking the Vegas Dave side of the equation. I'm just saying that it's important when you're putting your money into this to be open-minded to a counterpoint, to be open-minded to somebody else's opinion. And it's just smart to do that, right? And to make your own determination based on the risks that are out there and the evidence and information that you're able to, ascertain from research and whatnot. That's all. It's not a play per se, but it's just, the more educated you get on what's going on in the hobby, the more people you listen to, the more insight you get, the better. That's all. I mean, that's that's one to grow on. Knowing is half the battle kind of slogan we throw out there.
I think we're actually not giving, I think that we're assigning responsibility to the wrong parties. So we say that there's these pump and dumps, there's people manipulating the market, and that all might be true, but I think that's such a small part of what's going on. And let me read to you guys the definition of what quantitative easing is, okay? Quantitative easing is a monetary policy whereby a central bank purchases government bonds, safe instruments, or other financial assets to inject money into the economy to expand financial activity. What it does is when you buy safe assets like government bonds and you flood the money supply, people are, I don't want to use the word forced, but let me just use quote unquote forced to look at speculative assets. So these returns that you're talking about are a direct result of the Fed lowering interest rates, making it super, super simple for the average Joe to get a loan, buy another house, whatever it is. That average Joe now has so much access to money, and he wants to put that money to work. So he buys another house. He has a house in New York. He buys a vacation rental in Florida because interest rates are so low. How can he not? His bank calls him and says, "Hey, Joe, I could give you a $100,000 loan under 2%. How can he say no to that?" And he puts that money to work because, okay, he pays 2%, but he knows the stock market can return him 10, 15%. Other assets could return him 20, 30, 40%. So that's, in my opinion, what you're seeing. We've talked about speculation quite a bit, Cage. I think actually the money supply, the Fed and quantitative easing, and how much money we flooded into the economy is what's responsible for these returns.
What's the result when that happens? Because I'll tell you just from living through it the last time that there was this type of easing and this free use of money, let's call it, right? And I'll use your exact example, which is the housing market. I know when I was trying to buy a house in 2004, yes, I'm that old, folks. When I was trying to buy a house in 2004, right before the full bubble of the real estate market and too big to fail and all that other fun stuff, right? I qualified for a mortgage that was literally twice the size of the houses that I was trying to look for. And I remember saying to myself, like,
pause there.
Yeah,
what they're saying is the bank offered him a loan that was 2x basically what he could realistically afford on paper if the house went down in value. They're
Correct.
under the assumption that the house will keep going up in value. So it's not a bad loan because it's actually then an investment. But if it falls, you're screwed if you can't afford it.
And I was trying to be, I thought, fiscally prudent at the time. And I said, you know what, I don't think I can afford a house is what you're qualifying me for. So I bought a house that was more within my means, and bought that house. And 2 years later, people were losing their houses because they couldn't afford the amount of money that people were qualifying them for. They couldn't afford the house that they were in. People were literally walking away from their houses with no equity in them because they were underwater on their houses. So it's definitely scary, but I will tell you what happened the last time that this occurred, the monetary easing and, basically cheap money that we're seeing now is it blew up.
Yep. Think about this. Think about it this way, guys. So you buy a house for $500K or any investment, you can put a card into this. You buy a card for $500K on a loan. You are under the assumption that investment is going to go up in value. That investment temporarily drops in value and it goes from 500 to 250K. Simultaneously, you need to still pay the bank money. If anything shakes that, if you lose your job, if you don't have enough income to come in, the bank calls you, says, "Hey, I need my money." You say, "Well, I don't have your money." They say sell an underlying investment, which is the house or the card. And that's how it's a house built on straws, is what it's called. On sand. I can't think of the term right now, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yep. Understood.
Where are you headed right now?
Give me a second.
You just got up mid-episode and was like, I'm going to go for a stroll. I'm going to go for a walk around Midtown.
Well, I think the better thing would be House of Cards. That's the scenario there. And you're right. I mean, look, anyway, for cards, I guess it's a different story, right, than housing. But I understand what you're saying, right? So it's not just the people, bad actors in the market. It's the overall fiscal environment that we're in, and you combine that the fact that people at home, quarantine, COVID, their disposable income is all available for this. More money coming in, you name it. So how do we use this, Andrew? Give me something usable for Luke and Asian. What does this mean? Because we're talking in a lot of like crazy concepts here, but it's just something I wanted to touch on because of the video we put out this morning. But what do we tell? What's actionable to our folks who have
don't invest on margin? Don't invest on margin. Don't borrow money to invest. It's super dangerous. Super dangerous. And I'm not talking about like if you have 100K and you're borrowing 5K, that's not a big deal. But what people do is they over leverage themselves. They have 100K cash and the bank offers them 200K. So they're like, yeah, now I have 300,000 to invest and the market's booming. Well, that's all well and good until the market gets crushed and you need to pay back 300K and you only had 100K cash in the beginning. So don't bet on mortgage and don't over leverage yourself. Taking 5% off 100,000 is a different beast. So don't over leverage yourself. Don't always ask yourself, if this goes to zero, will I be fine? I think that's an important question to ask yourself. Not saying that you should invest in things that can go to zero. It's, hey, if I put my money in and hypothetically this goes to zero, will I be okay? Will I be annoyed at myself? Oftentimes when something like this happens, you go and you chase the next investment, right? You're like, man, I missed on that LeBron Topps Chrome, so I'm going to go after LeBron Prism 2019 PSA 10s. It's still a LeBron card. Don't go chasing investments. Don't go chasing investments. Be patient. Don't force plays. Be patient. Be patient. Be patient, because maybe that LeBron Topps Chrome does come back to 15, 12, 17, and you will have another entry point to it. So really be patient and don't force trades. And don't over leverage yourself, and ask yourself, if this goes to zero, will I still be okay? I would say those are the 3 criteria for me.
I like it. So besides the don't buy on credit, obviously buy, or a margin, obviously buy within your means. How about people who are sitting out there with cards now? Is now a time to maybe start thinking about taking something off the table? Is now a time to start, reevaluating your collection, or is it now?
Yes. This is awesome. I love. We're vibing. I wanted to actually talk about that with my own sub that came back.
Great.
Okay. And I think it'll actually lead right into it. It'll dovetail right into it perfectly. So I just sent in 60 cards, right? Yep. And when you get these cards back, I mean, you could put them in different criteria, right? Like PSA 9s are not going to be in the same bucket as a really low pop PSA 10. So in my opinion, what I do is I test the market, and actually Cage did a really good point with this, where he said, I have 10 Devontae Graham's Prism PSA 10s, and I want to auction them off. So you could auction them off all at once. But what Cage did really, really intelligently was he actually auctioned off 2 a week for 5 weeks, right?
Yep.
It's kind of the reverse of dollar cost averaging, right, Cage?
That's 100% correct. That's what we said. You're catching it at its high, you're catching it at its low. You're not missing out on any losses. If it happens to go down, you may profit on the beginning ones. If it happens to go up, you're making profit on the high ones. Like they tell you can't time the market by doing it that way, just like dollar cost averaging would be when you invest in your money. It's the same thing. You don't have to time the market. You're going to catch the ups and the downs.
Yep.
You're flattening
we'll coin that term, guys. Maybe we're pioneers, and we'll coin the term dollar cost selling. So I got a sub, 60 cards back. I did really well. I gemmed a lot. And then, as happens with a lot of people, let's say you send in doubles or triples of something, right? You get 2 PSA 10s and a PSA 9. I think it's very intelligent to start with your 9s. But the way that applies to you is, don't sell your best assets first. Sell base Prism, silver Prism, this will be a different criteria for everyone, but don't sell your best assets first. Don't sell your best assets first. I can't emphasize that enough. Sell the PSA 9 version, sell the base, and then move to the low pop iconic cards. And I'll explain how I'll do that real quick with my, like I got the Zion European sticker card. I got 3 9s and 5 10s, which is amazing. There's only 16 PSA 10s of that Zion, and I think I had 5 or 6 of them. But I'm not going to sell the 10s right off the bat because I don't even know what the market is for the 10s, right? I'm going to test the market with the 9s. And maybe if I see that the 9s are performing well, I'll throw a 10 in next. And I'll see what the market gives me and hold on to the real valuable blue chip stocks. And then decide once you have more information if it's worth dollar cost selling them. That's how I would go about it.
I love it. So I would say besides that is just right off the bat, we're not telling you to sell, right? So that's first and foremost, right? I mean, I'm putting money into cards. I'm buying cards. I'm going to give you picks today. Andrew's going to give you picks today. I got ideas. I got places where I think you can still make money, and plenty of it. If you wanted to take some money off the table, if you were nervous about the run-ups, if you're doing it, what Andrew's telling you, and I'm doing it myself, and I do it on Top Shot, and I do it on my card collection, there's ways to trim fat, right? You don't want to trim muscle, right? You don't want to trim bone, right? So you just don't, you don't want to, sell your Kobe's if you don't have to. And if you have to sell your Kobe's, sell your lower grade Kobe's and sell your less sought after Kobe's. There's levels to all this stuff, right? So, I guess that the point is why we wanted to talk about this, or why I wanted to talk about this, is it's conversations that I'm having in our DMs. I'm having them in our groups, and people are, they're talking, which is good, right? Everybody wants to be able to communicate about this stuff, and people are wondering, are we at a peak? Is it going to keep going? What's the story? And you know what, if you're a little more risk averse, you're a little more, you want to take some money off the table, it's perfectly fine to do it. I'll probably wind up doing it myself. So how about a play? I'm going to tell you guys something I bought. It's a different thing. Normally I say, I'll let you guys buy it and I'll get ahead. But there's plenty of them out there. I'll tell you what I bought, and then you guys can do it yourself. I'm doubling down on Harry Potter, right? We saw Jeremy Padour came on, and we saw, the box prices go up. And if you didn't get in on the boxes that we talked about, there are still so many different series of boxes out there. I bought the Sorcerer's Stone one, which happened to be my favorite, book and my favorite movie. They were still pretty young. And it was, a little more magical and a little less dark than the later ones. Those boxes are still available and they're still pretty inexpensive. The booster ones have gone up plenty since we talked about it. But I saw somebody, I think it might have been, maybe it was Tyler, maybe from Card Talk Pod. Somebody posted a picture, and I'm like, I got to research this. And it was a 2001 sticker of Potter, right? And I that fell at the same time. Andrew tells me he just got his PSA grades back, and it's all stickers. It's all European stickers. It's all soccer and Zion and Ja and all these stickers. And I'm like, well, what is this thing? And it was just sold this week, it looked like, or within the last 2 weeks. It was a Hermione Granger PSA 9 Harry Potter Panini sticker, right? And it sold for like $480. And PSA 9. I'm sure there's not a lot of these out there, but it's cool because it's not like, it's a picture. It's not like the crazy funky artwork that was in the other ones. It's actually a picture of the actress. It was very shiny, like prismy looking kind of thing, and it's 20 years old. And so I looked at the box, and it's funny because it's foreign. So instead of the Sorcerer's Stone, it was like the Philosopher's Stone. And I'll tell you guys right now, I just picked up a case of 24 boxes of the stickers. And it was $1,200, so $50 a box. You don't have to do that. I'm sending them over to the PWCC vault. Maybe I'll have them send me, one or two of them, and I'll open them up, with Ian and see if I can grade some of these things. But I'm gonna probably keep them sealed because it's pretty cool. And there's other boxes like that on there, and just like the Potter cards, there's a million different series from different years and different movies. Go ahead and pick whichever movie you like the best. But I think you're getting in on these, like, right a week or two before Marvel jumped. You know what I mean? I think people are going to be looking, like we've talked about, people are always looking for, searching for alpha, right, Darren? People are always out there looking for, where's the money going to flow to next? And, with Potter being such a huge brand, akin to Pokemon or Star Wars or those kind of things, I saw that and I was like, wow, what the heck is that from? And jumped on it. And, when you see a PSA 9 sell for that kind of money, there's just not a lot of them out there. And, maybe it's a place where it's worth dropping $50 for a box of those stickers. So that's my play. Again, it's more of just a, start looking in places where other people aren't looking. And we gave you that Potter box for the cards, and this is now Potter stickers. And Potter's huge European, and stickers are big in Europe also. So if you don't have a play, which is fine if you don't, you already gave your whole analysis.
I have an amazing play.
Nice. Well, let's start off by saying one of our members sent us a message.
I will take care of pristine.
Okay, please.
So, guys, this is cool. The timing of this is uncanny, as they would say. So when you're trading penny stocks or trading in general, there's this concept called watch lists. Right, Cage? You've heard of that before?
Yep, of course.
It's basically
like papers. They send them out. Here's the 10 stocks I'm looking at today. Here's the 5.
Yep.
Here's the 1.
This is on my radar. And what makes our Luca Nation community so special is we're all in this together. We all want each other to win. And oftentimes our community gives us stocks or plays or cards, whichever words, those are interchangeable in a lot of ways, that should be on our radar, and I think that's the way it should be. And I want to encourage you guys, please, to keep doing that because that helps us a lot, right? So Pristine Slabs did an amazing job to put a card on our radar. And that was the Joe Montana card from yesterday, PSA 9. And he did a write-up. He said, the PSA 10, that's an over $100,000 card, easy, especially with the recent Jerry Rice sale. Here's the pop. And look, the PSA 9s are trending at $4,000, right around there, a little bit more, a little bit less. And he put that stock on my radar. So, and we do this in the course that I'm taking on learning how to trade. And then you go and then you have to do your own due diligence, right? It's, hey, look here, but then you have to do your own you make your own sauce. Here's the recipe, but then you have to add your own flavor. So just a big shout out to Pristine Slabs for putting that on our radar. I think it's an amazing play. I did the pop report. I looked through it. I think it's an unbelievable play. I think it's a $10,000 card, easy, the PSA 9. But second, please keep those coming. We're only 2 guys. There's only a certain number of cards that we can take a look at. So if you have a card that should be on the watch list, and maybe we create an Instagram group called Luca Nation Watch List, that would be super helpful. We appreciate it. And now my play. My play isn't a grade. It's not even a specific card. It's a search term. And I'll ask you, I don't know what your definition, Cage, is for cardboard relevant, but to me, cardboard relevant is someone that people recognize their game and they recognize their name, okay? And I think if you go around the world, Allen Iverson, you could say that name and people know who that is, right?
Yes, 100%.
100%, right? Now, I want to give you guys a search term. Okay, because you could play this infinitely different ways, but I want search Allen Iverson Topps Refractor, and you're going to get a variety of cards. You're going to get him in the Denver uniform, the 2007 Topps Chrome white refractor out of 99 in a PSA 10. Cage, take a guess how much that card is.
I wouldn't even. It's not something I looked at, but how much is it? I have no idea.
$9.99 or best offer.
Wow. All right.
Pretty cool card, right?
Yeah,
so
that's a cool
card. The reason
card.
why I'm not giving you guys necessarily a specific card is the actual Allen Iverson refractor world is super. There's no uniformity to it, okay? There is no market for it. It's a low pop card. Then I don't even think a lot of people graded because there wasn't grading in the early 2000s and the 1990s when he was playing. So you don't see a big market. I'm not telling you to go out and buy his refractor rookie card. But there are black refractors of Allen Iverson PSA 9 for $500 out there. There are raw refractors of Allen Iverson floating around that have never been subbed yet. So I think you could play this however you want, but I would go Allen Iverson, Topps refractor, and I think you're going to find some really, really good deals and opportunities in that search term on eBay. So that's what I would play. And if you want to buy, like yesterday, and I missed on this, I should have bought it for $5.99. It was the Topps finest refractor, okay?
Wow.
Sterling refractor, not like the main rookie, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It was graded PSA 7. So PSA 7 is like a FU, I think, from PSA. It was perfectly centered, and it still had the peel on it. and I should have bought it. It was $5.99, right? So that's an amazing opportunity card. One, you could see maybe the peel was the issue. You take the peel off, you resub it, you get a 10. So that's one. And you just got this refractor of an iconic guy for under $600. But two, you could cross it to BGS, or you just have a beautiful card of a legend. And I think the floor now for really iconic cards is basically $1,000. And I don't think the Iverson market, especially when it comes to tops, chrome, and refractor and all that stuff, has moved as much as other markets. I'm not talking about his rookie main tops chrome though, because that's an insane card.
I love that card.
Iverson refractor. I like it. Rookie Iverson and Iverson in like 2003 are just like two different people. Yeah. You got little cornrows and all that. Love you guys.
Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.